Why do I suffer? So many of us ask that question. I've asked it myself to myself. You ask it to yourself and maybe of others. Why do I suffer? We're going to explore that. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of it and change our perception of what suffering is all about. My very special guest, Dr. Peter Percuoco, is with me to explore this situation. He is an expert at helping us all do this, and he has helped me as well. So suffering is oftentimes why we find ourselves at doctor's offices, asking the doctor, what's wrong with me? And it's a fantastic question. You're not feeling right, something's not working right, we want to know why, and we have some suffering from that. So Dr. Percuoco, why do people suffer?
Well, first of all, if I did have that answer, I'd probably be walking on water. But I can give you at least 30 years of experience to explain some of this. And what I've noticed in my own clinic over many, many years now, I've been in practice for 28 years, as has Dr. Fuller. And we see people come into our clinics all the time with a host of complaints. And for yourself and for your family and your coworkers, your friends, everybody seems to have something at some point that they battle with. That could be perhaps an autoimmune disease, high blood pressure. We know that Alzheimer's and early dementia is a big problem in today's world. We've got prostate cancer, we've got aches and pains, we've got dizziness. Holy moly. And in today's world, we have this thing called the television, and it's filled with advertisements from drug manufacturers that are trying to help us with medication. But in reality, those medications are wrought with side effects, and sometimes when you listen to the side effects, you go, wow, that's not really the best option. So I might get a little bit of relief, but I might die of cancer at the same time. Kind of a tough place to be. So I think what's happened is that we started to realize at some point here in America that we're so overworked, stressed out, that we're getting sick and we're relying on someone else to make us better. Like someone else knows you better than you. They may tell you that they do. Yeah, we know better. Here, I want you to take this medication for what complaint you have. But in reality, the complaint that you have is driven by something else. And all of these complaints are nothing more than an epidemic. And right now, we're really caught in this kind of ugly epidemic of sickness and disease. And Dr. Fuller's asking me this question: why is it that we even are like this? And in order to answer this question, I think I want to be more thorough and take you right back to the beginning, for the time when you were born. Why don't you jump in?
Good place to start. If you think about it, DNA from dad and mom came together, and that blueprint created a whole bunch of cells. We started as one, and then all of the information just in those two pieces came together. And the information there in this microscopic situation led in 9 months to a fully functional human. We have all these cells and systems that are going on. When we're born, we have everything that we need to have a healthy life. Now, of course, we can't survive on our own at that point. I understand that. We've got some development happening. But when you're born, everything is there. It's in place. One of the things that we like to explore as well is when we're born, we are completely and totally pure. It's like having a blackboard, and we're about to write a masterpiece on it, and it's completely blank right when we're born, and we can just start writing, and we can choose what to write on there, and we will explore that. When we're born, I also use this comment. You inspired this in me. I call it that babies are born with a PhD in lifeology, right? So as we become toddlers and we start crawling in, and we want to explore and see and take in everything. And then when we start walking and running around, all we want to do is see and experience everything, and we just want to play. Every day is about playing and exploring and having fun. We just want to have fun, right? Maybe you remember that age when you just wanted to have fun every day, and that's what it was all about. And of course, there was minor incidents of suffering. I wouldn't even call it suffering at that point, maybe disappointments or whatever. But it's all about having fun and enjoyment and exploration. And then things begin to change and go south. What happens at that point?
Well, then we have what we call parents. Sorry, I'm a parent too. But I want you to think of this. When the child comes out, the child's bone structure, the hair color, the eye color, everything was already ordained. It's already there. And in their emotional fitness, the way they want to experience the world, it's already in there too. But then the parents come along and they begin to muck it all up. They start teaching children how to see things, perhaps, not always, but perhaps in a way that might be a little askew. And over time, I like to think of this as like a child's palette that Dr. Fuller alluded to. And he said a blackboard, I'm going to use a whiteboard because it's a little easier to think about. You start placing dark clouds and junk all over this thing. And before you know it, children have learned to see the world in a way that's a whole lot less fun and a whole lot less about being who they are and becoming more about, try to become what the world wants you to become. To start worrying about what people think of you. And then we get attached to that. And what happens is we start leaving the toy blocks and the training wheels and all the birthday cakes and ice cream and all the Santa Clauses aside for this new thing called a very serious life. Very serious. You better get your stuff together because you got a lot to accomplish in life. And the world's looking at you. Really? No. Getting back to being a child is one of the key things that you can never get enough of. And if you forgot what it's like to be around a child because your life doesn't have children in it, then go hang out in the mall for a while in one of those little jumpity things and watch what children do. And yeah, sometimes they're mean and nasty to each other. Wonder where they get that. And then sometimes they're just loving and compassionate to each other. But they always love to do what Dr. Fuller said. They want to have fun. And what do you want to do? Do you want to have fun? Or do you want to run from doctor's office to doctor's office to doctor's office with all types of physical complaints and never really getting the true essence of why they're there? This is what's been happening in my particular office for a number of years. And I have to tell you that early on in my career, I kept asking that great question. Why are they here? What am I missing? What is really going on that this person has this complaint? And it started to really resonate over the last 10 years with me. And it changed the way I look at my patients, the way I looked at myself, the way I looked at my family. And I started to realize something really, really powerful. That this epidemic that we suffer from is from our perception and our belief system. It's within us. And you have to remember that the further you get away from that childlike innocence, the further you get away from being who you truly are supposed to be. You can't, I think of it this way. I tell my patients this sometimes. Picture yourself walking down Main Street in your little town and your head's going the other way on the other side of the street. They're not connected. Your head and your body don't seem connected. Why is that? Because your head is overthinking the world. It's trying to think of how you fit in. And your body's like, dumpty-dump, I'm just moving along looking for a pool to jump in to have some fun. It's completely confusing and it's a disconnect. But if you can take yourself and recognize that all of these physical concomitants that are inside of your body are literally just reflecting what your brain is telling them, then you're halfway to treating it. And you have to remember this, that your body is whispering. Every time something goes wrong in your psyche and in your belief mechanism and who you are and who you want to be, when you mess with that, it's like turning the radio dial just a little bit off. It sounds staticky. That's that little static whisper that your body says, is that sore, that neck right now? Because it feels a little off. No problem, couple of Advil, I'll wait it out. You keep waiting it out and that whisper will turn into a scream. And when your body starts screaming, you wind up in the wrong office. You wind up in some office where they provided you with some instant gratification and relief and you bought into it and said, I'm good. But in reality, are you any closer to being who you are? Well, I challenge you and say, yeah, because you're closer to death. You're going to die an earlier death if you don't get yourself to understand that the true essence of who you are is deep inside of here. And it's not easy to access it if you don't know how, or even ask the question, should I try to figure out more of who I am? Because I can tell you this, you are not what you do at work. You are nothing that you do. Your calling is in here. It can't go away. It's impossible to kill. The only thing that can kill your calling is death. And you're not dead because you're watching me with those two peepers right through the TV right now. So this will never happen while you're alive. You must look at yourself and decide, who am I? What is my calling? Don't do what you're supposed to do. Do what you feel like doing, what makes you go. And if you can do that with pizzazz and passion, then your body resonates and it heals. And then other people like what you have, they enjoy it. Then you share it with them. And then the team comes out to assemble so that you can tell others and you can make money and revenue. You have to get back to the true essence of living. And you must get back to who you personally are. Without it, you're living a lie, unfortunately. And I don't mean to bust your stones. I'm just trying to give you something to think about, that if you're living a lie, it does not feel right. And when it does not feel right, the body reflects your emotional state.
And that's where suffering comes from.
That's the suffering.
When I had mentioned the PhD in lifeology, the younger children, they just want to have a good time, they want to have fun, they want to explore, they want to learn. And then you had mentioned some of the things that start to chip away at that. It's almost like the degree that we were born with gets taken away over time. And then we start being told, no, you can't do that. And then you must behave this way. And then you go to school. And then you're young and you're in school, and then things start happening in school. I'm not saying all the things about school are bad, but these are some situations that begin to make us conform. And then we become less of what we want to be, that shining star that we once were. And those pressures and issues and challenges in school, well, I have to be like those kids over here, or I want to be in that group, so I have to say the right things and look the right way and behave the right way. But that's all fake. And then you have this inner conflict of things that are not meshing up. So that begins to chip away at that PhD that you had earlier on. And then as you go through school, you must perform. You must perform academically. You must perform in sports. And you must behave well in front of others to make the family look a certain way, and so forth, right? I'm not saying these are good or bad or right or wrong. I'm just letting you know how these things begin to shape us. And nowadays, I'm speaking more of childhood and the many generations before us, but right now, then they are just getting plastered everywhere around us from all of the electronic media that, again, you must be this way and you must have this personality and this is the perfect life on Facebook and so forth, right? And then when you go to college, you must perform because you chose a college because you must have this career so you can make zillions of dollars, because it's all about having zillions of dollars and big, huge stuff, because you must have stuff. And then you must have big houses and cars and I always say a big wife and big kids and all that kind of stuff. And then you realize at the end of that, you don't feel so good. I'm not saying everybody is like this, but people don't feel good, and then they suffer. And then they come to us, or they go to another doctor's office and they have this going on and that, and this system's breaking down, and they're wondering what's going on. And some of it, maybe a lot of it, could be due to all of these conditioning things. We felt as though we have to conform and fit these deals, and we realized we're not back at our true self. One of the things that I've noticed about wisdom-filled older people is they started discovering themselves as a child again. They don't care about those things anymore. They go back to doing the little things that brought them joy and meaning, and they love the kitten, and they love watching the children play, and they love reading a little poem because that's what they wanted to do. And I think that will help us end some or a lot of suffering.
Totally. What you've just described is what we call the power of now. And now is really important. These aren't rhetoricals, just, oh, it's the power of now. Oh, what does it mean? It means this, that whatever you're doing, let your mind attend only to that thing, just that one thing, not 5 things. I hear too many people say to me, well, they wear this badge of honor that says they're a multitasker. I go, that's not a badge of honor. What that is confusion and dysfunction. Take time to do one thing at a time. And that's it. Isn't that what a child wants to do? And by the way, when you were raising kids, for instance, when your kid wanted a piece of cake and there wasn't enough left and he started to throw a fit, you just showed him how to eat ice cream instead. You just changed his focus. You're just moving things around. It's not difficult. You take him off of one task, put him on another, but stay on this particular task. This is really paramount in relationships. And if you can repair relationships that you've already forged or that you're about to, this is the key to the essence of who you are. It calms your mind down. There's nothing like embracing somebody with pure and unadulterated love and compassion. That's amazing. And when you sit in the presence with someone else and you focus on them, you don't look at your watch, you don't check your phone, you don't look over their shoulder. You look them right in the eye like I'm doing now. We're just talking. And when we're talking, I'm here for you. When I'm here for you, that resonates. People like that. I like that. I like to know that somebody's got my best interest and they're listening to me. And then I'm going to get it back from them. And now I'm not thinking of a million different things going on at once. I'm calming the brain down. You must know this, that in your lifetime, your cells, your body's made up of trillions of cells that Dr. Fuller already talked about. And those cells are like little spies. They listen to what you're thinking. Now, there are a lot of people who are very good, like illusionists. They look, oh, look at me. He's got his jacket on. He's full of, energy, and he's going. That's who he is. Hold on, man. Because down deep inside, the true essence of who I am is still burning in there, and my cells are listening to it. Now, you may say, nice smile, all these niceties. That doesn't matter. I'm tricking you, per se. Because deep within inside of me, my cells will listen to what I think about and what is going on in my head. I may be wearing a smile, but I might be miserable internally. And the only thing in this universe that's listening to it, other than the maker, is your cells. And they're listening to you. So when you're in a negative light, you've just had a bad moment at work, or the kids had just said something that kind of pushed you over the edge, or your spouse doesn't understand you, you get these negative formations of thought, and they start to secrete hormones, neurohormones like cortisol, like epinephrine and norepinephrine. And these chemicals jack your body up, and unfortunately, they release the release of so much chemistry around your cells pollutes them. They ain't liking it. They like it in short bursts when you're being chased by the pit bull across the street, but not 24/7. So the longer you live in this negative emotional state, the easier it is for you to grow cancer, to grow tumors, to become insulin resistant, to have autoimmune diseases, to have painful joints, to have muscles that don't work, to have early dementia and Alzheimer's. You're like, really? It all has to do with my mindset? That's the cure for the epidemic. The epidemic itself is based upon the mindset. Now, can you imagine if you are the parent you're a proud parent of a child that's just done something absolutely beautiful, and everybody's been watching and praising your child, and you feel like, oh my gosh, look at my beautiful child. What is the feeling inside of you right now? It's pure joy. You're releasing those oxytocin hormones. Your cell structures are like, wow, this feels awesome. Keep doing this. And then what happens? You have antioxidation, which helps your body to age happily and carefully. It resets your heart, resets your breathing, resets your motor system, resets everything. But then you have to practice it day by day by day. And if you don't practice it every day, like anything else, it's a skill that you will lose.
We have an epidemic, as you had alluded to. We have an epidemic of suffering. We here right now in the United States, we live in the richest, freest country ever to be known in mankind's history. We have all the money we ever want, and we have freedom. Wonderful thing. A lot of people around the world don't have freedom. But we still have an epidemic of suffering and all of the diseases that come from suffering, such as the highest rate of cancer of any country in the world is in the United States. And we have raging heart disease. Diabetes is just accelerating to the sky. And the one thing that is going to tank us, there's one medical diagnosis. If diabetes doesn't do us in, if heart disease doesn't do us in, if cancer doesn't do us in, it's Alzheimer's dementia. That's going to do us in probably just a few decades. So the brain is going south. Now, is just suffering that we're talking about the only cause of these things? No. But when we suffer, we tend to make poor decisions. When we're suffering, we make poor decisions about how to take care of ourselves and the people that we love around us. And when we make poor decisions such as eating and not exercising and being stressed out all the time and not getting enough sleep and not drinking enough water and consuming other things that we all know are bad for us but we do anyways. So that just perpetuates that downward spiral into disease. So that perfect, beautiful baby human that we were born as, which is perfect, deteriorates a lot faster in a way that we could have had an effect on. You can have that effect right now. We know of the miraculous stories of people that were given terminal diagnoses of this, that, and the other, and then they live a full, long life. Very healthy, very productive, very beautiful, and doing wonderful things in their lives and for other people and for the planet. How does that happen? It was reducing the suffering by taking control of their thoughts. And that's what I wanted to let you know. There is only one true freedom that all of us have as humans. No matter where you are on this earth, even if you are in the worst case scenario, let's say a concentration camp, there's one freedom that nobody can take away from you, and that is this: the power to choose your own thoughts. And could it be, Dr. Percuoco, that we can be in the worst circumstance like that and actually come out of it alive and become a beautiful human and do great things and live a fantastic life and have amazing caring and passion for the earth and today and other people and the fact that they are just living, and carry on that message? Yes, it is possible, and it has happened, and you all know the stories, Viktor Frankl being one of them, and there are many, many others. One thing that really touched me, now I've mentioned this program before, just remember when I talk about Tony Robbins' documentary movie called I Am Not Your Guru, that was in 2016, we're now in 2017. If you watch that movie, there's a lot of profanity. So just, you've been warned, okay? But these stories in there of these people that have been through this horrific, amazingly just horrible things in their lives, and they turn it around to become beautiful people. We start wearing like the flat tire I got in my car today. Yeah, it was a little disappointing, but today's a good day. Yep, today's a good day. So I changed my perspective because we can control our thoughts, and that is such an important message. You and I could do another 500 programs live in front of people, in front of our patients, on TV, on video or whatever, and we could just work on that one point. The power to change what you're thinking about, and that is the most incredible thing that we all have gifted. We just need that reminder. There's so many pressures around us each day that allow us to forget, and we're here just to let you know, keep that in mind. Start your day with, I can control my thoughts regardless of the situation.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there, and I was going to jump in there on Viktor Frankl, The Man's Search for Meaning. Great book, really amazing. I want to share with you just a quick story about a patient of mine who kind of fits this whole epidemic. And she is a young nurse in her mid-20s working in a cardiac unit. Very skilled, very intelligent, real go-getter, one of these young kids that are out there just making the world her own. And I get a call from her, and she's hurting and wants to come in as a referral from somebody else. Presumably because of our background, my background in neurology, she thought perhaps there was something going on that needed to be diagnosed. So she came in, we sat and we chatted. And in the first 10 minutes, I look at CT scans of the spine and the head and the neck, and I go through all this stuff, all of the science, all of her history. She'd been to 3 other physicians and nothing helped. And unfortunately, her injury was slowing her down so much that now she was out of work, and she was under a work comp claim. And that doesn't go over so well. Sometimes when you're under a work comp claim, the large microscope is over your head. And it was over hers for sure. So her work comp people did not want to cover her and believed that she was making all of this up because she was young and she was in shape and she had everything that looked appropriate, but it really, there was something wrong. So when she came in and she sat with me, I went through all the doctor questions that I could possibly ask that would give me an indication to what her diagnosis was. And I couldn't find anything within any of my history as far as the doctor portion to understand the problem. So I proceeded to evaluate her. I did a full neurological evaluation, and I come up with nothing. Holy moly. You're on work comp, you're in pain from the base of your head to the base of your pelvis, and you have no idea why. Nobody has an idea why. And we continue along, and I had some more dialogue with her. And after about 20 minutes or so of our dialogue, I said to her, I'm pretty sure I know what the problem is now. I know what your problem is. She goes, oh, really? She's very excited now because somebody has something to tell her. I said, you went through a breakup. You broke up with your fiance about 8 months ago. You're not over it. It's very painful, and you're not sure what to do with it. And it's wreaking havoc by producing a plethora of negative-driven stress hormones that are wrecking your body. She kind of stepped back and said, whoa, hold on, man. I had no idea that this is where we were going. And I said, listen, you're part of the epidemic, you see. There's no specific injury that hurt you. This is a buildup over time of worry, and you're not sure what tomorrow's going to bring, and it just keeps eating at you over and over and over. She said, well, okay, but I'm not sure that's it. I said, well, let me see if I can bring it out of you. So I said, okay. Do you remember what it was like when he got down on a knee and he proposed? Yeah. Were you dreaming then? of like all the wonderful moments that were going to come. Children, the marriage, the honeymoon, buying the home, getting the second house somewhere, the grandkids, all those wonderful things that seem to be part of a wonderful, long-lasting marriage and relationship. And now I don't get an answer. I get this glassy look, and the eyes are a little off, and the head's a little tilty, and I go, oh, okay. And I think she had already buried it. She didn't realize how important it was. I said to her, she says, well, I have a big family, and they support me, and they love me. I said, well, that's wonderful. I love that. And I gave her a little analogy. I said, listen, one of the most important things in this world to me, which is ridiculous, but just part of the trappings of the world, is a beautiful Ferrari. Would I love a Ferrari? My last name is Percuoco, Italiano. I want a Ferrari. Okay. So I said to her, can you imagine if you or me and you brought that Ferrari home only to find out that somebody keyed it? You put it in your garage, your family comes down, looks at the damage to the Ferrari, they hug you and they go back to dinner. Really? Are you over it? She's like, oh, I see your point. I go, you're not over it, you haven't been over it, and I personally have suffered the exact same thing you suffered from. Now we have a connection. Now she trusts. Now we begin to talk about it. And we reset her capacity to have a more appropriate and what I say is a more positive perspective of the events that took place. And I said to her, you see my beautiful wife, Lisa. She runs my office. She's in the other room. She and I would never have been, neither would our children have been, if I had married that first girl. And that first girl was actually cheating on me at the time that I didn't know. Not that it mattered in the end. I said, these are all kind of the details of the situation. But you see, the silver lining is that not marrying her was the true gift. Because now I have this incredible family, this great wife. My life could not be any better. So sometimes what looks to be awful is actually good. And that's when she kind of went, woof, the life came back into her eyes and she's, oh my God. And then within just a week, all that pain was gone. And I only made 2 treatments. Either I'm that good or it's really she's part of the epidemic and her internal system really needed to be back on point again. And she needed to know, because no one had ever taught her this, that her mindset, what she focuses on and what she thinks about on a consistent basis, is now talking to her body. And she started with whispering, and then it started screaming, and everybody wanted to put drugs in. And when the drugs didn't work, they chastised her and said, you're a lying sack of poop. This is really not a problem. Now she had to get a lawyer and fight it out in court. More stress. I said, calm down on the lawyer thing. I'm going to help you with this. In the end, it doesn't matter fighting. Fighting does nothing. Forgiving, moving on, and developing compassion, those are the true things that you need to gain. And you're gaining this because I'm watching you every day. And every day you come back into my office and you have this wonderful, warm demeanor, and you're beginning to grow internally emotional. You're no longer looking out to the world to what it's got for you. You are already amazing. And then when she started to hear these types of words, these types of sentiments, she started to believe that she's amazing. And we talked about her internal self. Inside of her is like an empty chamber. And in that chamber is who you are. And not many people ever get in there and even know it's there. And one of the great ways to get it is through meditation. And when you learn slowly to meditate, you enter into your chamber. I call it the chamber of truth. And when you get there, I have no idea what you're going to hear. That's none of my business. But when I go into mine, I hear wisdom. It speaks to me incessantly and tells me exactly what I need to know at the right time, at the right place, always comes to me. So if you're struggling right now, start to get connected to who you are. Get back to being a child and learn how to meditate. Dr. Fuller, do you meditate?
I do. And I have to tell you, it's one of the avenues I think everyone should explore. Like most people, I wasn't really good at it in the beginning. I was terrible at it. And I am still a work in progress.
As we all are.
In the last minute that we have, we want to give people some practical application, because I think everyone can relate to a lot of the stories that we just brought up, a lot of the perceptions, a lot of the situations that allow some suffering, but we want to change that. So, 1 is suffering. 2 is going back to the child in us and understanding the little things that bring us joy. What are a few other things people can do right now?
Smile. Children, smile. 400 times a day, adults smile 20. A child's smile is worth 200 chocolate bars to an adult when you see a child, because the chocolate bars make you happy.
That's right.
Smiling makes the brain, the happy areas of the brain, much more active. Number 2, stay invested in the moment that you're in. Stop looking over at the wall, at the clock. Don't pull out your cell phone when you're with somebody. Show them that you care.
The power of now.
The power of now.
Yep.
Staying in the moment. These are the keys. Smile. Wake up with a tremendous amount of gratitude for all that you have. Do not let life tell you what to do. You tell life how you want to feel. I'm going to feel amazing no matter whether it's raining or snowing. I couldn't care less. These simple little things will get us to where we want to be.
Meditation, a grateful list. Wake up each day and be grateful for the things that we have.
And smile.
Terrific. He's Dr. Percuoco. I'm Dr. Fuller. Join us again.